Now, before I close this opening session and we dive into the full agenda, I'd like to invite Monda Webb to read a poem that she has written for us for Financial Inclusion Week. The poem is called Prosperous Possibilities, A New Dawn. I met Monda last week and was so impressed with her, and I know that you will find her equally impressive. She's a performing artist, a journalist, a filmmaker, and an award-winning author. But just because she can, she also has a background in finance, which I was, pretty blown away by. She worked at Fannie Mae for 15 years and at a fintech startup for a year and a half. Because of this very unique perspective, both as an insider to the finance field, as well as an observer, as an artist and a journalist, you'll hear that Monda really understands our world of inclusive finance. But precisely because she's a talented writer, she infuses this understanding with artistry and an important perspective of racial history. I think Monda captures the spirit of Financial Inclusion Week well. I think she really captures the moment we live in. I hope you will enjoy this as much as I do. Hand it over to you, Monda.
Okay. Good morning and thank you. So, what I'm going to share with you today is a poem called Prosperous Possibilities, A New Dawn. Promoting prosperity in an era of uncertainty. Is this possible? It can't be an era to cement gender parity, boost pride and dignity, guarantee equality, and empower women in their communities, ultimately fostering sustainability. Aldous Huxley envisioned a brave new world. So do I for all women and girls. Financial inclusion should not be an altered state. An opportunity to drastically improve lives shouldn't be up for debate. What would the big blue marble be like if we began with a clean slate? Before we get there, we must explore the trends, understand where we are and where we've been. In places where historically many women are marginalized, societal roles are unchallenged, cultural norms uncompromised. You see, there's been a zeitgeist towards global economy shifting. Slowly but surely, gender restrictions are lifting, giving rise to women so we can become our most valuable franchise. So in 2011, the World Bank and the Gates Foundation gave us a treasure, the Global Findex Database, a comprehensive way to measure the way world economies manage risk, save, and borrow, ushering in a new way to uplift the extremely poor. You see, the promise of a greater tomorrow. So enter the digital arena, a proven means to advance new ways of cash infusion. But somehow, with all the hype, there's been a gap concerning gender inclusion. Solutions notwithstanding, microfinance loans, cell phones made a slight dent, but women still lag behind men with accounts and such by about 9%. By 2019, let the record show the world was in a much better place. Communities continued to prosper and grow, the highest noted in history. So none of us were prepared or knew how to brace for months of being scared by a disease which at first was a total mystery and hard to trace, stood at ease and punched Mother Earth right in the face. Airborne, the virus was everywhere, armed, dangerous, with very little facts, floating along the faintest breeze like a dandelion in the air, stopping the world in her tracks, dropping us to our bare knees. You see, Corona blew in like a cyclone, tearing down families, ripping up homes. It broke my heart to see that 97 million fell back into poverty in 2020 alone. However, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. During the age of the coronavirus, where a very few thrived, most families fought like hell to stay alive, to exist on faith, resourcefulness, and mother wit. It gave many of us a time to think how to level the playing fields with newly restructured banks, looking to mitigate the digital divide, rebuild communities with respect, dignity, and pride, especially when it comes to gender inclusion. The United Nations has drawn a conclusion that women should no longer succumb to financial contusions with SDG number 5 to achieve equality for all women and girls doing traditional norms, disrupting traditional norms, and changing mindsets all over the world for the greater good in every neighborhood, whether it's urban or rural. Total financial inclusion exponentially, one becomes plural. Nonprofits, NGOs, all coming together to empower our sisters, helping them generate incomes, protecting living standards with or without their misters, carving out new ways to create accounts, the ability to save in varying amounts, and then some, giving our sisters a leg to stand on and a well to pull from. Once women can access essential services, impervious to historical nervousness, of knowing their places, at risk of disrespecting their men, former heads bowed, only then will they be able to stand tall, empowered, proud. As old traditions crumble and fall, total financial inclusion will uplift us all. Eradicating poverty is a complex problem to solve. There's no way around it. Communities should embrace that to fully evolve without retribution, institutional thinking should respectfully be erased, and women can raise babies, run businesses, and keep food on family plates. It's more than possible. Didn't two billionaires just compete in a race this year to go to space? Which they did with great success, giving them bragging rights, a reason to poke out their chests. So the case for women's financial inclusion rests. Promoting prosperity in an era of uncertainty. Possible? Yes, most certainly. Thank you.
Thank you, Monda. That was really, truly incredible. You're the only person I know who could make inclusive finance so poetic. So congrats to you. Very inspirational. Monda's poem obviously features one of the topics that is a big priority in Financial Inclusion Week. It's a priority for CFI and many others. And we have 8 sessions dedicated to discussing women's financial inclusion. And the theme is cross-cutting across many other sessions as well.